and good evening to you wherever and whenever you are joining us. Welcome to our latest edition of What Caught My Eye, or WCME Sports. The date is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026 at approximately 8:33 in the p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am, of course, your host, the coach Nick Vesci, joined by the boy Stephen Vesci.
What up?
And currently indisposed, but here with us in spirit is the man Stephen Comlow. Hopefully he will be back to health and back next week. Now, if you're new to our show, we like to think of ourselves as the sports show for sports fans about sports. We like to focus on what happens inside the lines of competition rather than the outside noise that has no effect or outcome really on what happens in the game or match itself, right? Before we get into our top catch for the show, just a reminder to follow us on all of our social media. That's on X, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, Snapchat, and Threads at UCME_sports. Our episodes drop every Wednesday at noon on Spotify, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. And all that information can be found on our website, WCMEsports.com. Now, without further ado, our top catch for the show is March Madness. If you missed it, it got underway last week. You had the first four games that were on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then you had obviously the main draw.
Yeah, do you count the first four? Like if someone wins a first four matchup, do you say they had a tournament win?
Well, the NCAA counts it, so I guess I count it. It. We'll give it to you just because everyone needs a trophy. Main draw tipped off, I should say, on Thursday. So you have action Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So right now in the men's bracket, you have the Sweet 16 all set. So just to get a little quick recap, some of the major storylines. We saw the Siena Saints, led by head coach Jerry McNamara. They took Duke to the brink, the number one overall seed Duke. They, in a lot of ways, dominated that game for 3/4 of it, really.
And it was about 32 minutes of that game. They were the better team.
Well, I believe became the first 16 seed to take a double-digit lead into halftime over a 1 seed, which is just remarkable. Duke didn't take the lead back until, it was like 3 to 4 minutes left, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. And a lot of what happened after that, you saw just Siena run out of gas. All 5 starters played essentially the entire game.
I really think Doty rolling his ankle in the second half really hurt them. Because, they were running out of gas, but he missed shots that I think, these guys play the whole game, every game anyway. It's not like it was, anything new. They rotate maybe 2 other guys in, other games, but Doty plays the whole time.
Yeah.
It's really nothing new. And honestly, if you're a college basketball player, you get so many breaks. It's not too difficult to play hard all the time. You literally get a media timeout every 4 minutes, and then each team has 4 timeouts. Yeah. So and you have a halftime. So that's not say all right, conditioning wise or whatever, it's so hard to play the full game. It's not. I believe Bennett Sturts for Iowa has been on the bench for 7 whole minutes this year. Something like that. It's really not difficult to play the whole game unless you're big.
Because you're getting foul trouble and the wear and tear and you getting up and down the court is different.
Correct. The bigs actually have to run the furthest out of anybody because they're going down to each end. The guards aren't typically. But the notion of guys running out of gas, I think Doty was injured. To me, that was the biggest issue that they had because he could if he makes 2 of those shots, they win. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, again, an incredible performance. They did wind up losing, I think, by 6 or 7 points. And Jerry McNamara parlayed that straight into what we all knew was going to happen. He's now the new head coach at Syracuse University, coming back home.
Called it.
After a couple years at Siena. Yeah, we all knew the second he got hired.
Mike Bray called it.
He was going to turn them around, and eventually he was going to do something like this in the tournament. And it would be a no-brainer that he has to go back to Syracuse. It was destined. But an incredible performance from the Siena Saints. I wanted to point that out there. And in case you missed it, another incredible performance, the High Point Panthers, I believe they are, number 12 seed, took down the Wisconsin Badgers, number 5 seed in that region, by 1 point. Chase Johnston, who I believe is top 25 on the NCAA career 3-pointer makes list. So he's made so many 3-pointers. That's literally all he does. He hadn't made a 2-pointer the entire season coming into that game until the game-winning layup with, was it 13 seconds, 8 seconds, something like that,
Something like
left in the game for them to go up one, and they held on to win over Wisconsin. His first made two-pointer the entire season. This is not because, he doesn't score. No, this dude drilled not just a logo three in this game. He drilled a three, not with the time running down, but in transition, in rhythm, from almost half court. I mean, I swear he was
I think he was like 5 seconds into the shot clock.
Yes.
Down 8, I think. Something like that. Down 8 with 5 minutes left in the game. Logo 3 with 26 seconds left in the shot clock. I mean, that took some onions.
Yes.
And if you look at almost every three he had, most of them he's not square. Like, it's one of the more like
square.
He gets like his shoulders, but I don't know. There were some that he was taking moving sideways. That one, the logo 3 was moving forward.
Yes.
I don't know how he's making those shots. As someone who was a pretty good shooter myself, those shots he was making were stupid.
Yes.
Those were incredible. Those were like Golke last year. You know, he was the talk of the tournament for his shots. These ones were the shots Chase Johnson were making were harder. They were more difficult.
Yeah, incredible. I believe it was High Point's first ever win in the NCAA tournament, which is good for them. They would fall to the Arkansas Razorbacks in the second round in a very close game.
And a game they could have won too.
Yes.
Johnson missed a couple. He missed a couple that he made against Wisconsin. That High Point team was probably the toughest, I guess, mid-major seed to like face and go against, because they could catch fire and they were really, really good and they played fast. Those are the teams that like you almost get a little tight, because Wisconsin is like, well, Wisconsin this year I think averaged the most points they've had since like the 60s or something. Well, this year like Wisconsin isn't as easy of a team to knock off, as a big team to knock off like that big upset, because Wisconsin plays faster too this year. So and Wisconsin was winning the entire game, and then here comes High Point. Last few minutes, just they kept staying in the game, and they can rip off so many points so quickly. And the same thing against Arkansas. I really thought they were going to beat Arkansas.
I did too.
I think that High Point Wisconsin game, I mean, definitely the game of the first two rounds by far, or I'm sorry, the first 2 days by far.
Yes. But
maybe the game of the first 2 rounds, but it was awesome. And that was you have this whole the Cinderella's dead. The Cinderella is very much alive, but the Cinderella just missed barely multiple times Thursday, Friday. Like you got
a glass slipper; it's fragile.
And Saturday, I guess, right? Because of High Point. I mean, you had like Siena, they almost won. Wright State almost beat UVA, and I didn't think UVA played bad at all. Wright State just played unbelievable. You had a few others where I think Furman went toe-to-toe with UConn for a long time, until probably the last 2 minutes.
Cal Baptist, is that who almost came back?
Cal Baptist came back against Kansas. They were down 6 at the end.
Well, they were down massive. It was basically like Kansas just said, like whatever.
VCU comes back and beats UNC.
Yep. The VCU win, great win for the Go Rams. And Phil Martelli Jr., great win for the program there in Richmond. Yeah, it was a 19-point deficit, I believe VCU overcame, which is nuts. Correct. Stupid to do. Again, not just doing it against a, quote, power conference team, but you're doing it against one of the blue bloods of the sport, UNC.
Yeah, there's 4 guys on that team that were, 5 stars.
Yes, obviously we know watching UNC the last few years, they've not been that good. None of us, I think all of us actually picked VCU. None of us are surprised at the end result. Yeah, I don't know if any of us picked UNC. Out of all of the people who showed up to your house with all the brackets, I don't think there's a single one sitting there with UNC picked. So none of us are surprised at the end result, but it's still, you're taking down a power team as the underdog. It's very impressive for VCU. A couple other noteworthy things. Nebraska, under Fred Hoiberg, the mayor, they won their first ever tournament game in program history. And the first round against Troy, smoked them, I believe. And then the second round against, who did they?
Vandy.
Vandy, yeah, against Vandy.
That was a great game.
Them. That was a great game with that game-winning half-court shot. I mean, that down and out, this is the definition. It touched every bit of the rim except for the bottom, and rimmed out on the end shot as the buzzer went off for Nebraska, obviously to advance to their first ever Sweet 16 if they had never won a game in the tournament before. So good for them. They will take on a conference foe and a rival, actually, in the Iowa Hawkeyes, as the 9 seed defeated Clemson and then took down the defending champion Florida Gators in another incredible game. So we will have a rivalry game in the Sweet 16, number 9 seed Iowa versus number 4 seed Nebraska, which should be, at least for me, a lot of fun
split
because of the rivalry part. That is rare that you get to see that.
and they split the regular season, right? That makes it even better. It wasn't like, one team 1-2, and now it's like, oh, it's hard to beat a team 3 times or whatever, and all the pressures. No, it's everyone split. This is the best of 3 for a chance to go to the Elite 8.
Yes, I love it. I believe the lowest seed still around is the Texas Longhorns. I believe
they're shocking. Seed. They're very much surprising me.
Yeah, because I watched UVA demolish them in Austin earlier this year. But they came through the first 4. They beat NC State in the first 4 and then took out BYU in the first round and then Gonzaga in the second round, which that's a pretty good ledger right there. NC State, BYU, Gonzaga.
There's a lot of talent on those teams they beat.
Exactly.
Right.
And so they will play the Purdue, I believe, in the Sweet 16. Texas will, which is should be interesting.
It's another winnable game. You kind of just like you kind of run like when you're a team like Texas, you kind of I feel like you almost run out of juice when you get this like break that you have to come. You lose momentum. Yeah, that's the biggest issue.
Again, there's a lot
NC State did. Yeah,
was that 2 years ago?
2 years ago with DJ Burns.
DJ Burns.
They were they a 9?
No, they were an 11.
11? They were an 11.
Right? They had to.
I think so.
Rip through the ACC tournament to get.
Yeah, they weren't going to make. They weren't going to make the tournament if they didn't win the ACC tournament.
They weren't a first 4, but I believe they were an 11 seed and ripped off all those at the Final Four.
They were. Yeah, I think you're right.
Incredible run of itself.
I mean, Texas does have a great coach. Sean Miller's been around the block.
Yeah,
been at Arizona, Xavier. He's been to a lot of places. He's a great coach. Maybe they do. I don't trust Purdue at all, but
no, I don't.
Then we go back to the preseason rankings thing. They were preseason number 1, actually.
Were they really?
Yeah.
They also, right, we talked about this before too. Guard play wins you games in March Madness, and that's the strength of their team. Or those 2 guards they still have, Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, right? Even though yes. Trey Kaufman-Renn, I believe that their big man or one of their bigs produces a lot. But you would, the first people you think of are Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. So you would think that gives them a lot of formula. But then, like we said before about the KenPom metrics, they don't fit those that would mark a national title team. So you're right. That's why it makes it hard to trust them, right? They're almost like a wild card, even though they shouldn't. And then they also fall under the wild card spot because they still haven't completely broken through yet, right? They haven't made the Final Four under Matt Painter. Or no,
did they not make it with They made the championship game against UConn.
Oh, that's right. Because that was the year after they lost to Fairleigh Dick, right?
I thought that was the UConn. UConn was just a buzzsaw.
Yes, that's right. Yes. That Zach Edey game.
Yeah, where they were like Zach Edey's going to get his, but we're going to take out all the shooters.
Yeah,
and then we're just going to dominate because they can't guard us. Yeah, that was the UConn buzzsaw year.
Now I remember.
Was that 23? Yeah, 23.
That was that was UConn's second title.
First.
That was the first one? No, it was their second because the first one for UConn was against San Diego State.
Yeah, you're right.
And that was their second one, which I would say was an even better team than the first one. But yes, okay, now I remember. But outside of that, they're normally a disappointment in the postseason. So
it is kind of surprising. Like they still have the same guards. Like they have a lot of the same team that were on those teams, 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So Smith and Fletcher Lawyer feel like they've been there 7 years.
Yeah. Elsewhere, St. John's, who from a lot of people felt like the most underseeded team, like should have been a better seed. They knocked off Kansas in dramatic fashion in the second round to reach the Sweet 16 where they will take on Duke.
By the way, the guy that made that shot, that was his only bucket the whole game.
Really?
Yeah. And that's why it was like so weird. It's like that. It felt odd that this is the guy who's getting the ball and he just goes straight to the rack, but maybe that's the genius of it. No one thinks he's going to score.
Yeah.
Or
and someone who's not in rhythm isn't thinking about pulling, might not be thinking about pulling up, just going, I get a shot off, I'm going to attack. Right, right. Maybe that's the genius of it, that of Rick Pitino and what he's doing. Again, they'll take on Duke.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see if St. John's can score against Duke or if they get any bit of a whistle against Duke because St. John's, they play tough defense, physical defense, but if you breathe on Cameron Boozer, it's a foul. So I expect Duke to be in the double bonus with 10 minutes left of each half.
Yeah, I think that's probably so.
I mean, if you looked at the St. John's Kansas game, at least St. John's might be useless because Kansas gets a favorable whistle all the time too. Did you see the end of that game? Kansas had 2 fouls with 15 seconds left. So Kansas had to foul, I think, 5 times just to put them, or they had to foul 4 times as they kept bringing the ball in. And so I think there were like 4 or 5 seconds left or something like that for that last play. And then obviously they couldn't foul because Kansas was up 1. So they fouled 4 times just to kill 10 seconds. And it was like, how did this team not foul anymore? They had a 15-point comeback, and you're telling me they only fouled twice in the second half? I mean, maybe they did. I don't know, but that seemed odd. But that St. John's might be used to it against Duke with some favorable whistles. But yeah, Cameron Boozer's allowed to do whatever he wants, and you can't touch him.
Yeah, for the brand, right? The sport. Also, in that part of the bracket, I believe we have number 3 Michigan State and number 2 UConn, which should be a very intriguing matchup with Hurley versus Izzo. Like I said before, you have Iowa, Nebraska, and then the bottom of that bracket, you have Houston, Illinois, which should be a very fun matchup. I know Houston is both of our national championship winners, so we'll see how that goes. After Arkansas defeated High Point, they get the good fortune of taking on Arizona in their Sweet 16 matchup. But like we said, we have Purdue in Texas in that region. And then the bottom region, we have Michigan versus Alabama, who was able to handle Texas Tech. Again, this is without their second best player because he had over 2 pounds of pot sitting in his house with no license to sell or anything.
Yep.
Just a few pounds of weed, that's all. So they're doing this without him, which again points to the strength of the coaching of Nate Oates, I believe. And then at the bottom of that region, you have the number 6 seed Tennessee Volunteers taking on the number 2 seed Iowa State Cyclones. Anything else from tournament time?
I think, like, looking back at the round of 32, because everyone wants to see Cinderella go, right? And people are like, oh, Cinderella's dead, whatever. They'll be back, all right? They played great in that first round. They had some tough breaks, and some of them showed up in the second round, just had some tough breaks, right? They're right there. But also the games that you had in the round of 32 were phenomenal. There were a lot of great games. I mean, the St. John's Kansas game, the UVA-Tennessee game, Florida-Iowa game. There are so many great games that went on in that round of 32 of, like, your power conference teams, even though there's some that are seeded. There were upsets, right? Florida's down. We lost to 1 already. We lost to, 2 threes, right? Gonzaga and UVA are gone. So, like, you will have some, like, quote-unquote upsets, but the games themselves, like, you're going to have these games go down to the wire a lot. And I thought it was awesome. That was great. So we can talk about, not having High Point go or Wright State or another team that maybe you wish like VCU, maybe you wish they would have shown up a little bit better in the round of 32, but there were still great games. And I think we should enjoy basketball a little bit more.
Yeah. I still think the product out there was great. Like you said, Boy, people want to look at this and say, oh, there's no non-power teams, so this, and this. Most of the time there's not a power team. Like the odds of getting
it's really hard to get
are always stacked against you, right? And like you said,
and by the way, think about how they moved the conference realignments. Like Houston used to be a non-power team, right? Now they're in the Big 12 and they're the big bad.
Would be a
BYU used to be out. Yeah, there are a lot of teams. UConn was in the American as well.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, obviously we know how good UConn is. A lot of the teams that are, Big East, which is, quote, power team, like your Creightons, Butlers, teams like that have had Xavier, Villanova, those teams that have come through, like they went, 10 years ago, I wouldn't say they were power teams.
Well,
they weren't really. Well, Villanova was, but
misspeak. But yes, I agree with you. Right, the quote unquote
conference realignment has hurt mid majors.
Yeah, has hurt teams who haven't jumped on to something, and it's hurt the because even like the Mountain West, it's not really hurt them because they're still a big enough conference with a big enough. What we saw Utah State grab a win for the Mountain West, right? They just didn't have a good year this year. That's why they didn't have any more teams, right? I think it was just only Utah State in it this year. I could be wrong, but you're right. It hurts. It hurts the little conferences, right?
Correct. Like, yeah.
Your
the
small
Horizon.
Yes, your Horizon leagues.
I do want to talk. Do want to talk about how the officiating has been, because like these officials have a really tough job in this tournament, especially like the coaches and players and fans just getting on them, all this stuff, right? But I want to talk about how the quote unquote physicality, it's kind of out of control. I've watched multiple times guys driving just a straight line drive or whatever, and instead of a guy moving his feet to get in front of him, I see a 2-hand like shove on his back, but no call, because that's the new thing, is we're not going to call that. You can put your arms and everything on him. And I'm like, that was 2 hands going on. That used to be an automatic, right? And then I'm watching guys underneath battle for boards. A lot of teams aren't boxing out. They're just throwing bodies at people. Iowa boxes out, which is the reason why they beat, like part of the biggest reason why they beat Florida. But a lot of these other teams, you're going to watch, Michigan State, UConn? That's going to be a bloodbath. I mean, dear God. Houston, Illinois? That's another one. Like all these games, there's going to be guys just hammering each other, and there won't be any calls because it's almost hard to call it because both teams are doing it. But there are also like teams who are allowed to be physical and teams that aren't because of reputation or how their style of play is. Tennessee versus UVA. Tennessee was allowed to be physical. UVA wasn't. Florida, Iowa. Florida was allowed to be physical. Iowa wasn't. St. John's, Kansas. Like there are all these like teams that are allowed to be physical, and other teams are like can't for whatever reason. It bothers me. I don't really understand it. There's a guy in Florida who literally ran 30 feet dead sprint and put a shoulder through an Iowa player's back, and there was no call. Nothing. Just play on. Like it never happened. It was like the guy goes flying, and he was just trying to go into box out position and then just gets steamrolled. Like that's a foul. That's not basketball. This is like, we need to get back to playing basketball. If you watch a film from 10 years ago, watching, March Madness in the mid 2010s, it's like clean basketball. Guys are moving their feet. I'm glad they got rid of the charge calls because I think those are ridiculous. But you got to play a little cleaner basketball. Like this is kind of getting out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the only one. I've heard the Illustrator, the great J. Bill, J. Bills, because he is a lawyer, speak about this frequently the last several years, about how we, as a college basketball community, said freedom of movement, freedom of movement, freedom of movement. If someone's going here, I can't hit them. And so they said, we're going to put a stop to that. And then it almost just seems like we just stopped that. Like in Jay Billis has talked about how what you're seeing is the same thing he's seeing, that these games aren't basketball games. And a lot of times they just let them do this because it's almost like, well, to be honest, they're taught it first. These are all learned behaviors. Going through as they're younger, they're not taught how to play proper defense or how to not foul or how to not do these things, right? And because, as we know, because we were officials at that level, officiating is inconsistent. There's, oftentimes it doesn't even matter, because if you're that much more physically gifted, even if they call a foul on this, you're still going to, put up whatever points, or you'll have the physical stuff to get recruited, right? So we're not teaching this the same way we don't teach other fundamental stuff in the U.S., essentially basketball program that our country, not like the official program, but us as just a basketball nation,
Basketball culture.
we don't teach those things, right? And so they get up to the college level, and a lot of these coaches are seeing, well, what gives me and gives us the biggest competitive edge? And it's this realization that the officials are not going to call everything.
No, it's the Bob Huggins approach.
The Shaka Smart at VCU approach. Like, the blueprint's there. We've talked about this before. The blueprint is there. Your chances of winning, to be honest, are higher if you don't play real defense and you just bludgeon people the entire time, and you do it the whole year, than it is if you are trying to play the right way. Because
this is why
you're going to gain a competitive edge.
Part of the reason why I don't trust Purdue, because they're going to get bullied by a team and just get destroyed, and then you're going to go, where's the fouls? Like,
yes.
how does this happen?
because yeah, they're not going to call everything. A lot of officials, and I do think part of it too is we're in a transition. A lot of older officials have aged out. Right, the old guard is gone, new guys come in. I think a lot of officials are truly afraid to blow the whistle, and then you get that idea or that feeling. It's not right that I need to make a call because I haven't made a call in a while, right? So you have inconsistencies there. Again, you have the VCU, like you said, the Bob Huggins effect too, where they're not going to call everything. If we're deep enough and someone gets in foul trouble, who cares? I'll just throw someone else out there, and everyone's going to be coached to play the same way. Be ultra physical, because as long as they don't call all of it, you're going to gain a competitive advantage somewhere. You're going to make them miss an open shot, or you're going to have them not get 2 free throws, or you're going to get 2 free throws, or you're going to get an easy shot because you discarded someone, right? They're not going to call everything. They're not going to review everything either, even though we have that, right? And the other thing that it does too, and this is kind of like a human nature, studying human nature, is that official sees it, right? And they see it over and over again. And it starts to get to the point where that's normal to them. And as an official, your biggest thing is you have to call the obvious, like the outlier, the thing that sticks out to you. Well, if it doesn't stick out to you because it's happening over and over and over and over and over again, by the time the last 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes of that game comes around, the odds of that official calling those fouls, if they haven't been calling them all game, is lower, because now you're getting the crunch time. You don't want the officials to decide the game, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And on top of it, it doesn't stick out to them. They want to not. They want to not be in the way of the game. So to them, not seeing the outlier, they're not going to call it because it's been that way the whole game for that team. Now, on the flip side, what that does is you see a team that doesn't play like that wind up with more fouls called against them, because anytime they do something that could possibly be construed as a foul, the arm goes up, because that now becomes the outlier for the official. So it's that, and again, the coaches, I guarantee you, have figured that out. They know that. That's why these teams are coached the way to do it. It's not just, we went out and found all the guys who have no conscience or soul and just didn't tell them anything and let them kill each other. No, they're being coached to do this with the knowledge that, one, our team is deep enough to withstand any foul trouble that may occur. But two, this behooves you. The blueprint is there. It behooves you to do it, because at the end of the day, the other team is going to wind up with more fouls called against them, because it's going to stand out to them. And it'll also look like they're the ones retaliating, because the one who starts it is the one who never gets caught. So if you're the first one, you set the tone out there for it, it's not standing out to the official. Again, I agree with you, boy. There are a lot of times that I watch college basketball in the last 2, 3, 4 years, and you go, what am I watching? And Jay Billis has been vocal about it a lot. I mean, he said it live on broadcast, like as he's doing a game, of like, oh, well, that's another foul in this football game that we're watching here, because
we've gone too far, because it used to be you couldn't even put your hand on someone, it would be a foul, and it was like, okay, the hand check, like that's a little, can we go like no harm no foul here a little bit? And then we went way too far the opposite direction, where guys are putting 2 hands and like giving a shove to get themselves back into position. Like if you can't guard somebody tight, like up tight, then you have to sag back a little bit and play your pack line defense a little bit. But no one wants to do that anymore, because everyone wants to pressure the ball. But if you're not good enough or quick enough to pressure the ball, and by the way, the offensive talent has gotten better. These guys are quicker with the ball now. It's really hard to do it. So, but you can't let them just throw 2 hands on a driver like that. And it's like, okay, that's ridiculous. And then the rebounding is atrocious right now, because it is, you go up for a rebound, if you're a quote offensive rebounding team, you get away with literally hacking arms because you're going up for the ball. They're just fighting for the ball, right? That's it. It's just a loose ball. They're just fighting for the ball while you're just hacking arms. But if you give a little shove underneath, that gets called. But if you hack an arm and not allow your opponent to get that board, no call. You're just fighting for the ball, right?
Yes.
We have to get back to some sense of basketball. Like we're getting a little, like, play with your body legally, like when you box out, and do things legally. This is just collisions.
The issue, yeah, like you said, it's become almost like this is norm, right? So you don't want to call it, because at this point in time, it's not like the players are going to adjust after 4 minutes. They're just going to keep doing it, right? So if you decided to call things that are all the fouls now, you're now calling a game with 45, 50 fouls in it, even if you were correct in your calls. And so that's now where we get that almost that dilemma, right, in the official's mind. Because, like we said, we've been officials before, and obviously not at this level, but the last thing you want to do is get in the way of the game. Like, you don't want you to be the
Right.
score. You don't want you to be the reason, something happens, right? Or that the decision is made on you and not the players, right? So you get that moral dilemma that pops up. But yeah, at some point, right, they'll get to a game, right? It's almost one of those things too. Is once it gets to later in the tournament, a couple teams left, you'll see teams, I bet, tone it down a little. / the officials call it more correctly because
And there's more eyeballs on you.
exactly,
Like,
it's like, oh, there's only 2 games left. We don't want
it's out in the open now.
Yeah, like we don't want the championship to be decided because we allowed a team to do this, So it's
Right.
one of those, again, it's all weird. It's all sociology, right? Human interaction. Maybe anthropology. That might be the better. Anthropology. Sociology is more about groups of people. Anthropology is, I think, probably a better one. But whatever it is.
You're going to teach anthropology to anthropology students, thus completing the circle of why bother?
Yes. Anything else, boy, before we move on to our 3 strikes?
Nope.
All right, hit the button. Strike 1. Boy, strike 1 goes to you. We're actually going to stay in March Madness a little bit here.
Yeah, let's stay with March Madness. Very relevant this time of year, so let's stay with it. And let's stay with one of my favorite coaches in not just March Madness, but in college basketball, Ben McCollum. Because if you don't know who Ben McCollum is, he's the Iowa basketball coach. And what he's done is he's won 4 national championships in Division II at Northwest Missouri State. Then he moves up to Drake at the D1 level. And, he just wins 31 games and wins a NCAA tournament game.
Is there a Drake soundbite, by the way?
That's a good question. Is there a Drake soundbite?
Every time we have to reference the Drake, that should be played.
I don't see one. We do not have one.
How can we be so obtuse? Now
you're being cute. Anyway, he goes to Drake. Takes his players from Division II. Takes like 4 of them from Division II with him to Drake, including Bennett Sturts, who also came with him to Iowa. But then Division II players did pretty damn well at the Division I level. And then now they're in the Power Conference level, and they're doing pretty damn well now as they just knocked off the defending champs and number 1 seed Florida to get to the Sweet 16. Ben McCollum is so good. He's very similar to Kurt Signetti a little bit, right? This dude just wins everywhere he goes. And to win at the lower levels, like Signetti did, IUP, Elon, JMU, up to Indiana. McCollum was Northwest Missouri State, and then to Drake, and then to Iowa. So it's very similar. And I think it's a matter of time before Iowa's competing for national championships every year. He's that good of a coach. Like, this dude just wins. You don't win 4 national championships in 7 years without it being a coincidence, right? I mean, with it being a coincidence. That's just absurd how good he is. So I want to give a shout out to Ben McCollum and really Bennett Sturts too, coming with him and a couple of the other guys. It's just an incredible job of what he's been able to accomplish. And he plays more of a slower tempo, cleaner game. They're really, really tough because you don't beat Florida without being tough after guys getting the shit kicked out of them all game. But they play a much cleaner game. I mean, there's shots going up. I mean, all 5 players on Iowa boxing out, clearing their guys off, and the ball's dropping. When have you seen that happen in recent games, right? Everything we talked about what was bad about what we've seen in college basketball, they're the opposite, and they're what's good about college basketball. So yeah. I love Ben McCollum. I mean,
what he almost got in a fight with.
Yeah, he was giving it to Golden. Yeah,
which is
I don't know if you saw that play.
No, I didn't. I just saw the
so
each other.
The Iowa guy came down with the ball. Florida guy grabs it. You get a little jump ball action, but the Iowa guy clearly had, a better hold of it. And the whistle's blowing. And, the Iowa guy had it first, right? So he's not letting go of it. But the Florida guy's not letting go of it. The Florida guy swings the Iowa guy down with the ball. And neither of them's letting go of it. And then the Iowa guy cocks his fist back and punches the ball. And they reviewed it for 20 minutes. And then they basically said because he didn't actually punch the guy because he hit the ball. No ejection. And by the way, that's the guy that hit the game-winning three. And so Todd Golden was going nuts and screaming at McCollum, and McCollum was just giving it back to him.
Now, again, in your expert opinion, because we all know that, was he going for the ball or was he going for the guy?
I think he cocked his hand back, realized I can't do this, and then hit the ball. Because if he wanted to hit him, he would have hit him. It would not have been hard for him to hit him. It's very clearly right
Charge
there.
The mound, son. Charge the mound.
So I think that's why there was no ejection, is because he could have clearly popped him in the mouth if he wanted to, or even hit him anywhere. But he definitely brought his hand back, but he didn't follow through really. It was very lightly hitting the ball. It wasn't as violent as it looked like it was going to be. I think that's what it did. But also, it's two different styles of officiating, because then you look at the UVA Tennessee game, and Sam Lewis gets a dead ball technical for lightly shoving someone in the back. And it was okay, it didn't look good, but it wasn't like it was that bad. And it was these guys are killing each other all game, but we're going to give that because it's a little more out in the open, I guess, maybe. And then the Florida game, a guy runs through someone's back, and then this happens where a guy looks like he's about to throw a punch and then just, hits the ball. But it was no text in that at all.
Yeah.
And there's Gene Steratore saying in the UVA game, well, you got to nip this behavior in the butt real quick. And it's what? Okay, we have two different theories here then.
So that actually goes to something I've said before, is that they need to centralize officiating. Excuse me. Because at the college level, it's by conference. So you have guys out there officiating the Florida Iowa game who might be from the Summit League or something, who don't deserve to be there and go, oh, well, no, we make it to the Mountain West guys, right? No, that's the issue, is that all of those conferences have different ways that they coach and teach their officials. And furthermore, the conferences have a hierarchy the same way the, quote, power conferences have a hierarchy in who gets in and the recruiting and the money and all that stuff, right? So they have that hierarchy with officials. So it's not like, oh, I work for the, Horizon League, but I could be just as good of an official who works for the Big 12. No, that's not how it works, right? The Big 12 would come in and swoop in and take you. You'd be in the Big 12 if you were good enough, right? And so that's why there needs to be some centralization to it, to where everyone is under one roof, everyone's being taught the same things. And yeah, maybe you have it regionalized by where you assign guys, right? Because obviously someone who's officiating the ACC is doing it because they live on the East Coast, right? The person officiating ACC games, unless there's something that happened because of, the Cal and Stanford being involved. But traditionally, that person is not living in Sacramento, California, right? They're living probably in Charlotte or somewhere, right? Somewhere pretty easy for them to get on a plane, go to Boston College, officiate a BC Clemson game, and then fly home, right? So you can regionalize it in terms of the geographic region, but I really do think it needs to be centralized, where there's one governing body, there's one set of edicts being handed down. And yes, you say, well, it's the same rule book. It's that's not what we're saying here. Obviously, it's the same rule book, right? It's the same rule book, in other sports at different levels, right? That type of thing. But it's the consistency of how officials are evaluated and how they're coached, because that makes a difference. And that makes a huge difference in March when you get a team that, and this happens, we talk about the fouling thing, right? You get a team that maybe for their year in conference been whistled for a ton of fouls because they're overly physical, all this stuff, right? But then they're a 11 seed going against the 3 seed, and I'm not saying this is Texas. I'm not using that example. I'm just saying this happens, right? And they're going against that 3 seed, and they just happen to get officials that are from whatever garbage conference, and
I mean,
allow
yeah,
them
think
to
about.
do that, and they pull the upset.
Well, remember the ACC used to be really, really good in March because of the way, almost because of the way the officials would call a game. Where okay,
They were
now there's
tight.
more eyes, and there was a lot tighter. And guess who the best defensive teams were without fouling? Like a UVA, Duke, all these like
Syracuse, even.
Syracuse. Yeah, that's true. I mean, all these different ACC teams that would all of a sudden put on runs, and you go, what? They weren't that good during the regular season. What is this? And then you'd see Houston bail out early or something, or Arizona or whatever it is. It's like these teams that were way more physical weren't able to advance because they were just fouled constantly. West Virginia, we had a lot of teams that would top 4 seeds, top 5 seeds, or whatever that we'd bail out pretty early. We made a Sweet 16 here and there, but we'd bail out early with Huggins because we just fouled the crap out of you. So the change in officiating has changed in the teams that are advancing, right? Almost every team that advanced during this is insanely physical and quote defensive teams, right? So that's kind of the conclusions I'm going with, and the ACC is gone, right? You have one team from the ACC in it, and that's been the case the last I think 2 years or so. Besides NC State making the run.
Yeah, but again, if it's centralized, you have more consistency across the board. So you would think that the same performers throughout the year get rewarded in March, and then you have those true upsets where a team takes down that Goliath, but it's not aided by XYZ foul differential type of things. So I think that would help clean up the game as if it's centralized, because then everyone is truly playing by the same rules. And again, I understand, it's the same rule book, but it's if you play in this conference versus that conference, you're playing a different game, and that game is dictated by the way the officials in the conference choose to officiate the games. It is. Arguably,
well, the old Big
more
East, right? The old Big East used to be a bloodbath.
Yes, they would get like 12 teams in, but then none of them would advance.
Because
they would beat the shit out of each other, and they'd get to the tournament.
Back in the day, they used to get 6 fouls.
Yes.
They literally used to get 6.
Yes, the Big East allowed you to have 6 fouls, right? And that goes back to, again, it needs to be centralized. Everyone needs to be playing, an equitable game, and at this point, it's not, right? It's hey, if we get these officials from this conference, we have a better chance to win. Or if I play this way in this conference, I have a better chance to win this conference. And that's, it's not how it should work, right? It is really, I think, the sport where the officials have the most consequence because of the fact that it is almost entirely judgment based, right? Yes, there's a rule for this, but it's still up to the official to make the judgment, right? It's not like a football where the ball crossed the line.
Offsides or whatever.
Offside, the guy jumps offsides, right?
Yeah,
holding is really holding and pass interference are for the most part.
And those are the ones we hammer guys on.
Yes, the judgment ones, right? And even in baseball, right? You have the umpire calling balls and strikes, but now with ABS and since they've introduced the strike zone and really coached the umpires up a lot, even without ABS, they don't miss many calls. They really don't.
No, they're like 93, 94%.
Yes, it's
like
stupid,
insane.
right? But in basketball, there's no really missed calls. I know the NBA tries and has been doing that recently last year's, but it's still that's disingenuous because their league is not competitive. They don't put a competitive product out there, so it's like hard to care about that. The refs report card each game, right? That just feels like it's a PR move, right, to satisfy people or to make things look a certain way. But truly in basketball, that official, because again, it's almost all judgment, right? and also because of the fact that you can disqualify a player for having too many fouls, and if you rack up too many fouls, it gives the other team the opportunity to shoot a free throw, like literally a free chance at a point, right? Those are massive, right? Like, could you imagine if it's like, gosh, I don't even know a comparison. Like in soccer, if, X team racked up X number of fouls, like not just like, oh, this guy fouled him in the box, right? Just racked up 7 fouls in a game, that the ref stops the game, moves the ball into a free kick position, lets the team take a free kick. Now, I'm not even saying like a penalty kick, like a free kick, right? They move the ball. Like, let's say this foul's committed at midfield, and they move the ball to wherever the other team wants to put it and lets them take a free kick, right? That is almost the equivalent. And even that doesn't do it, not even close, because that's so much harder to score. Like, we're giving these guys a free opportunity to score, and you're also going to disqualifying guys. And again, you could bring up the soccer comparison with the yellow cards and the red cards. But, at the same time, you normally have to do something egregious to earn yellows and reds. Whereas in basketball, it's just a foul. Oh, the ref judged that I touched him. Or, that those types of things where in soccer, and now they have some of that stuff reviewable, especially for the World Cup. But, for the most part, when a card's, awarded to a player, most people are in agreement that this is something that was egregious enough to warrant it. And so those other little things, like you're not going to foul out of a soccer game unless you are literally just hammering someone to the point where the ref gives you that yellow as a warning of like, we're tired of it. But there's no set thing of being like, oh, I can only do this many times, and I'll push him, I'll just keep pushing him, and nothing, I'll foul out, right? So it's so much of the game is decided and in the hands of the officials, and that is, sometimes a difficult pill to swallow as a basketball fan if you're watching the games. And like you said, Boy, sometimes it seems like you're watching a different sport. And that I think brings a lot of consternation from basketball people. Now, if you're not a basketball person, you've never been an official, never played, you're not going to notice it as much. It really is probably not going to affect your viewership. It really is not. You might affect, who wins or loses, and then that affects how happy or sad you are. But in terms of, knowing what's going on, if you don't know all that stuff, you're not up in arms. But when you're someone who's studied it and watched it and coached it and all that stuff gets on your nerves, and that almost deters people. And I think that might be one of the reasons that I think basketball is not on the upward in this country is because of that. Now, another basketball thing for my strike. Hit it, boy. S2. So I'm going to turn to the University of Virginia. And no, not the men's team, who did win 30 games, by the way, for the 6th time in program history, and whose men's basketball team and football team finished with a combined record, I believe, of 41-9, which is incredible. 41-9. Played 50 games, football.
That's right.
And basketball, 41-9, and got to the championship game of the conference each time. Now lost both times, so that stinks. But I will take 41-9. Yeah, both times Duke. I'll take 41-9 every single year. So no, not the men's teams, but the women's basketball team at UVA. Right? They got in the tournament as one of the last 4 teams in. They had to play in the first 4. I believe I saw something before they got selected that if they didn't get selected, they would have had like the most quad 1 wins ever by a team to not get in the tournament.
Besides West Virginia in the men's tournament last year.
Well, just on the women's side is what they're at. But that they also were a team that had a lot of missed opportunities this year. A lot of games they probably should have won that didn't go their way. Right? I believe they entered 19-11, and they really could have had 5, 6, 7 more wins. They truly could. Right? So they come in, they beat Arizona State in the first 4. Then they get to the first round, and oh goodness, I forgot who they took out, the 7 seed, as they were the 10 seed. Why is that? Why am I blanking on that? But they beat the 7 seed. Normally I got that stuff on point. And then they set up a matchup with the number 2 seed, Iowa Hawkeyes. And like you said, Boy, before, in the women's tournament, the top four seeds in each region host those first couple games, right? So they're
Yes.
playing a true road game in Iowa City against the Iowa Hawkeyes in that round of 32 matchup. And UVA outscored Iowa 44-27 in the fourth quarter and the overtimes. There's, one overtime, then two overtimes. And they were able to take down Iowa to advance to their first Sweet 16 since 2000 for the program.
They played Georgia, by the way. That
Georgia,
was the first game was Georgia.
the 7-10 matchup.
Yeah. Yep. 7-10 was Georgia. Then they played Iowa.
And now they're going to play TCU because, again, they beat the Hawkeyes in Iowa City. They're the first women's team to advance to the Sweet 16 after starting in the first four. That never happened in the women's game, which is amazing. They're the first double-digit seed to reach the Sweet 16 since 2022. So it's been 4 years since we've had a double-digit seed. Again, they're the 10 seed in that region. Guard Kimora Johnson, star guard, best player, Charlottesville native, went to St. Anne's Belfield, or STAB, as they call it. I believe it's also the alma mater.
Chance Mallory. That's where Chance.
Did he go to STAB?
Yes.
He did?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so, yes, Chance Mallory, another Charlottesville native playing on the UVA men's basketball team, went to STAB. I believe Connor Schellenberger, reigning MVP of the PLL for the New York Atlas, is a STAB guy, and I believe the Long brothers, Chris and Kyle Long, went there, but you got to double check me on those last ones. But Kimora Johnson, out of St. Anne's Belfield in Charlottesville, she played the entire game. And I don't mean like, oh man, she played like the whole game. No, she literally played all 50, I said 50 minutes of that game. All the minutes in the four quarters, every second of both overtimes. Kimora Johnson played. Led the team, I believe, with 28 points in that. Had like clutch steal, go ahead bucket, I believe, in the second overtime to help lead the Wahoos to the victory. An incredible performance. One of the more underrated players in the country because of the fact of UVA being one of the first four teams to get in. Not a lot of talk about her, but I believe still a first team All ACC selection. Right, people in the ACC knew about her, but that can't be stressed enough. She played every single second of that, a double overtime victory in the NCAA tournament, and again, a true away game in Iowa City. Not just playing a true away game at like UNC. You're going halfway across the country, playing every single second to lead your team to its first Sweet 16 in 26, or since the year 2000. Right, incredible.
By the way, did you see the founder of Reddit, the guy that went to UVA?
Yeah, it's Serena Williams' husband.
Yes, I do know that. He basically he gave specifically the women's basketball program a bunch of money this offseason and said I want let's get a contender, let's win. And they went out and did it.
Yes.
And it kind of brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
Thank you.
But also UVA, I think a lot of other schools, Vanderbilt's like this too. Schools like UVA and Vanderbilt aren't going anywhere in any sport, right? They're going to be at the top because those schools expect to win national championships, right? UVA expects to win national championships in every sport, right? Besides football, right? And now you have a very rich alumni base donating to football now. And all of a sudden they win 11 games, right? Your first year basketball coach, they bring in Ryan Odom and you win 30. That's incredible. They're ahead of schedule in the women's basketball team now is ahead of schedule than what they thought they would be, right? It's really hard to do that year one, right? You usually do that year two, year three. But there's a very wealthy alumni base at UVA and an alumni base that's used to winning. And all it took is a couple guys getting all it took was a couple guys getting pissed off at the football team losing, to go turn that around. They're not going anywhere. UVA is a destination school, by the way. This is where coaches go to be like this is it, right? In almost every sport, this is the pinnacle. This is the peak. These are national champions, right? Your swimming and diving program, right? That won 6 straight.
Just won their 6th. The women's swim and dive program at UVA just won their 6th straight national title. And that's hard to say because how often do you ever say someone has won their 6th straight?
Yeah,
6 years in a row.
It's insane. So I mean, you have arguably the best
36 team national championships are housed at the University of Virginia. Yeah. 36. Just wanted to have that.
You have arguably the best athletic director in the country.
Yes,
Carla Williams, right? And I love, like, I'll talk to all the tech people, right? And they're like, well, no, UVA football they're going to go back. Like, all the football people and all the Virginia Tech people think UVA football is going to go right back to being a shitty team. Like, why do you think that? They have a lot of money. Do we not just expect them to, like, I don't think they're going to win 11 games again, but maybe. I don't know. They have a lot of money and now continuity with their teams. So why do you think they're just going to revert back to this? UVA has become a destination school. You're literally getting a glimpses into like the football world of what they do in every other sport. Like that, I think that is causing like football people and tech people to kind of like have issues with this.
Consternation. Of like, wait, threw that word out there before.
Consternation. There you go. And it's like, how are they? No, they won't do it again. They're not going to do it. Like, why do you think that? Vanderbilt is another school that's going to be there for everything. They're going to be right back in football and right back in basketball. It's a very rich, wealthy, smart, hungry alumni base that expects champions.
Yeah, you bring up the hungry part. There has to be a want to, right? Doesn't matter. Like every school has someone who's rich. Like let's be honest.
Indiana football. Indiana football needed.
Right? Were you there for that? Right, we went through all the people from LaSalle.
Yeah.
Tim Legler's, Kobe Bryant's dad, Bill Raftery. The guys who founded USA Today went to LaSalle. The guy who founded Jordan Brand went to LaSalle, right?
Well, think about High Point. High Point's a very rich school. Don't tell me that won't be one of the best mid-majors every year.
But again, you still have to have the hunger, the desire, and saying that these funds are allocated here for this, right? That still has to exist. And I think one of the biggest reasons it looks like it's existing at UVA and existing at Vanderbilt, obviously one is the rule changes that allow you to do it. And I bet probably those two institutions, they were playing by the rules when other people weren't, right? So they were, having disadvantage from that point. But I really think it's, that hunger, that want to, that, hey, we have the ability now to make something happen and really commit to this, that I'm not wasting my money. Like, you can't think of it as I'm just going to throw $1 million here. Like $1 million.
Right. You have to have the right people
right? So you
in
have
place to do this.
Yes, you have to have people in the place, but you have to have them truly want and care about it. Because, right, that person could say, okay, I'll donate $1 million to my alma mater as a billionaire. But they could say, I want the $1 million going towards this, right? Whereas now it seems like, there's that hunger of, and you get that thirst, that taste for it. Once you get that taste of success, it's intoxicating, right? And I think that's a big reason why you're seeing like the Vandy's and the UVA's being like, no, we want to sustain this. This is fun. Winning is fun.
I think about Indiana football. That's a fan base that was hungry to do something.
I also think that's like that might be the wealthiest fan base.
It's the largest alumni base.
Or something like that. I mean, Mark Cuban is an alum.
Correct.
Oh, who else is also an alum? Our sponsor over at One Legacy Title and Escrow, Miss Bailey Barnfine, she's an alum.
That's true. But also Nebraska basketball, right? You got to be hungry. They traveled so well to those games, right? And you got to be hungry to go break. Like, they hadn't won a tournament game ever. Ever. So you're looking at Indiana, that was the losingest program in college football history, win a national championship. And then Nebraska basketball, who has never won an NCAA tournament game, all of a sudden win one. win two actually, and we're in the Sweet 16. Like these schools can do it now. It's a very different playbook, and you have to have the right people. You have to have the hunger. You have to have the money. All these things, and a school like UVA has it. So I don't expect them to go anywhere in any sport.
You
Right,
know,
baseball. They
know,
just lost a legend in baseball, and immediately just said, "No, we're gonna jack Duke's coach and make our team better." Like
yeah.
that's what they just did. They lost a guy that won a national championship to go to Mississippi State, and they said, "Okay, we'll take Duke's coach. Is really really good," and he just went from Duke to UVA because I guess UVA cares more about baseball. Maybe I don't know, but Duke's a very rich school.
Well, you know who like UVA baseball's principal donor is the
Brian
noted
Zimmerman.
no the noted author John Grisham.
Oh, that's right.
He built the baseball field and all that stuff
That's
for
right.
him. Because he lives in the Charlottesville area now. But yeah, you know, you got to have the hunger, you got to have the want to, you got to have a lot of things basically, right? And I do.
I mean, it's all good. Like you have to have trust in your coaches too. Like, I mean, like Tony Elliott, that was his what fourth year, fifth year, maybe fifth year last year. It was like, okay, like, is he the right guy? Like, how good is Tony Elliott as a coach? He was a great offensive coordinator, but is he the head coach? All of a sudden, he gets the people in place to build his roster he wants and wins 11 games. Like, okay, Carla Williams probably was right with him. He was probably the right guy. Ryan Odom,
She makes a
whole
lot of
run
right
higher.
decisions. Yes.
Like, it's very, yeah, it's great hiring.
I feel like every Virginia Tech fan and alum sits there every night, bows their head, and they pray to Frank Beamer that UVA will suck at something. May he rest in peace. But
He's very much alive.
that's why we do. That's why they do it to honor his memory. You know,
Lives in Smith Mountain Lake.
Yep. I think that's what's happening every day. Is they're praying to some sort of false idol in the sky.
Well, Vic.
Yes, the ghost of Marcus Vick. That
Arnold Schwarzenegger. God damn it! Let me finish.
Yeah, that I think is happening. All right, strike three. Hit the button. Ring 'em up. I actually got a twofer here, just in honor of Comlo. Two quick ones. First one, the University of Wisconsin Badgers women's hockey team. They just claimed their 9th title in program history over the weekend, and their third in the last 4 years. All 4 years in the last 4 have been against Ohio State. So Wisconsin's won 3.
Really? Wow.
Ohio State has won 1, which is that makes it all more more satisfying.
Yeah.
But yes, the Badgers, who also featured multiple U.S. Olympians on that.
I was about to ask how many
roster.
Olympians are on that team.
The defenseman who had the assist on the game tying goal in the gold medal match, she's on that team. I believe there's at least one more on Wisconsin's team. There might be several more. But I know they also have Olympians from like Canada on their team too. Like Wisconsin and Ohio State are stacked. Like they're at this point the two preeminent powers in women's college hockey.
Looks like we'll pencil them in next year for another rematch.
Correct. Pretty much that the odds are in their favor for that to happen. But wanted to highlight the Badgers, the women's Badgers hockey team. 9 titles. And I want to say I saw like they all are in like the last 25 years, which is incredible as well. And then the other one, just again, housekeeping notes. Tyler Reddick of 2311 Racing, that is the Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin racing team in NASCAR. He just became the 3rd driver ever to win 4 of the first 6 races of a season with his win at Darlington. The only other drivers to do so.
Jimmy Johnson.
No. Good guess, though. No.
Okay, I'm going to go...
Only one of these happened in your lifetime.
Okay, so the Intimidator.
Yes.
Going Earnhardt.
1997.
Okay. And then the other one, Mark Martin?
No, that's a good guess. It's same era. This guy's son now races in NASCAR.
Son race? That doesn't help me at all. You're going to have to help me with this one.
Yeah, Bill Elliott in
Okay.
1992. Bill Elliott in 92. Dale Earnhardt Sr. in 97, and now Tyler Reddick in 2026. Only drivers ever in the NASCAR Cup Series to win 4 of their first 6 races. So I thought that was noteworthy, especially
What is
because
Chase? Chase Elliott's the Napa car. That's
yes,
right.
number
I
9.
always want to think. I always think he's the Miller car, but he's not.
Is there a Miller car?
There used to be.
That was Rusty Wallace. It was awesome. Rusty
I always
Wallace
thought
was
there was a
awesome.
newer one.
I don't know if there's a Miller car, to be honest, because
I
you would
was
think they would paint that car white with the new logo and everything, or when they went back to that old logo, because Rusty used to run under that logo we
yeah.
saw growing up, the circular one. I don't know if there's a
I
Miller
always
car.
thought there was another. Maybe I was just wishful thinking. Kozlowski, Brad Kozlowski, he was the Miller car.
He was, but I don't think he is.
I know, God, that's how long it's been. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago. It
Exactly
was
that.
like 2018.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't know if anyone is. I feel like I haven't seen. Yeah, I haven't
Brad
seen
Kozlowski's the one that I'm thinking of.
because he's the number 2.
Yes,
But yeah,
that's
it's always a Busch car. I feel like, which is awesome. Kevin Harvick was the Busch car for a while after he was the Budweiser car, which was awesome as well. God bless NASCAR.
I know it's so.
We got
great.
rid of our tobacco sponsors, so you can't have a Redman car or Winston,
the
Cup
Winston
Series. You can't have that type of stuff. The Grizzly car, you can't have that, or Skull. But you can
There's a
still
Skull
have alcohol cars plastered all over your racetrack, and what a beautiful thing NASCAR is. Like, I'm bringing 24 to 36 cans of something. That's the rule. Cans of something into the stadium. As long as they're in a soft-sided cooler, I'm good. Can bring
So
my
what would be your car like sponsor? Your paint?
Well, I obviously would love the Miller car. I think that's amazing.
That's what I was thinking. The Miller car would be fantastic.
I did used to love Rusty Wallace back in the day, but what, you're saying I can have anything?
Anything? I might have to throw a little Catoctin, little Catoctin wrap.
See, that's where it runs that's where it gets weird, because like if it's anything, the sponsor has to be willing too. Right? That's
Well,
I
no,
can't
this is
say,
a
I love Catoctin Creek, so I want to be.
This is
Catoctin
hypothetical,
Creek.
Nick. You get to build whatever you want, you jackass. It's hypothetical.
It's not
this
how
is
that
not,
works. If you want to do
oh
a
my
real
God.
hypothetical,
It's just having fun. That's all it is. That's all it is. What would you build? What paint job would you have? It's like building your logo on your helmet for hockey. Like
fine, give
what
me a
paint
UVA
job would you
car.
have for
Paint my
NASCAR?
car and
That'd be cool.
UVA blue and orange and
Kind of like
with
the alcohol
sabers
theme,
on the side, like the cross sabers. I mean, there was a Liberty car. William Byron went to Liberty, and he used to.
Yeah,
Drive the Liberty
there
car.
was a West Virginia car.
What's there?
I think we used. I forget what we used it for, but someone made it pretty big. But I know it would show up on campus. I know that, and it looked fucking sweet.
Yeah, I guess if I'm gonna do that, I'll take that. I do like alcohol, but I don't know what that would. Well, what would you? Because you also wanted to be a sponsor where you're gonna get a lot of stuff. So maybe because you gotta sit there, you gotta drink it every time. The Jackhawk 9000, right? You have promos. So I don't know.
I do love Fig Newtons, but man, this is dangerous.
Yes. Anything else before we move on?
No.
So that's going to take us to our favorite segment, brought to you as always by One Legacy Title and Escrow in Jacksonville, Florida. Visit them on Instagram at One Legacy Florida and visit them at onelegacyflorida.com to see how they can help you with your next house closing. One Legacy Title and Escrow, because your legacy matters. This week we went with our favorite sports video games of all time. Boy.
Yeah, I like this one. This is fun. I have a few honorable mentions because I need to get these in there because there are a lot of great video games that we had growing up. So, have to get this out there. We were a PlayStation family.
That's true.
So,
that does make a difference.
That does make a difference if you were
We've only owned
Nintendo
PlayStations
or
and PlayStation.
Xbox or Dreamcast.
Sega, yeah, what? Sega Dreamcast?
Yeah, there's a Dreamcast and a GameCube, man. I said Gamecast.
Yeah.
That Malibu's Most Wanted, I believe. But I'm going to go with Crash Bandicoot Team Racing.
All right, that is a good game.
It's a great game. Crash Bandicoot was the equivalent to Mario, basically, for PlayStation. And Crash Bandicoot was awesome.
What do they make? What do they call it in The Simpsons? Something.
Oh, yeah. God, it is a dingo. And they're like, they did something like that's not even Australian, but yeah, it's a dingo. Oh, I forget what it
Because
is. That's
a
it.
bandicoot's a real animal, by the way.
Yeah, I
It's a
don't know. I've never seen one.
no, because I don't. I think they live in like Australia or whatever. Like they're
Yeah,
one of those things where they only live in one place.
yeah. The next one, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and
Good.
it's the I think the first one that has like the best soundtrack.
Oh, great set. Lights out. Roll the
For the
radio.
radio, turn
Get
that
that
shit
shit
up.
up.
Yes, great soundtrack in the first Tony Hawk. That was one of the best games we played growing up.
That was a great. I mean, great game.
Great
Now,
game.
I didn't
The
like.
warehouse, going through the warehouse is
Yes.
always the best.
I didn't pick out like something like from a franchise. So like I would put like the franchise on there. So I wouldn't expect someone
Yeah,
like,
Tony Hawk.
Pro Skater
Yeah.
1, then have the number 3 is Pro Skater 2, and
No,
just,
I didn't do that. But that's just the one that like we played. Like I think we got to what 2 and 3, and they weren't as good. It was always the first one that was so good.
number 2 was good. Number 3 was decent. And I think after that,
They changed the way the controllers worked and everything. I
yeah,
didn't
because
like
then
it.
I think after that it got to PS3. We didn't have one.
Correct. That's true. That's actually a very good point. We never had a PS3. The next one's Madden, always a classic. I remember those years where there was like Eddie George, Ray Lewis, Michael Vick, like on the cut. Those were like cover athletes. Those are always the best.
Donovan McNabb ever make it? I'm loving
That's
it.
that's a good question. That is not Donovan McNabb. That's a good question.
This guy from
I just
Cosby
remember
Shit.
the Eddie George one was always
Oh,
great.
Vince Young had one.
Yes, that was the last good one for
Yeah.
me or for us. That may have been the last one I played.
Well, because again,
I
I
haven't
think
played-
the next ones are PS.
PS3. Yeah, we didn't go through that. Yeah, so next game, NCAA March Madness. The last one I think we played had Tyler Hansbrough on the cover, I believe. And that game was awesome. I used to love that game. It's a shame we don't have that anymore, which is why it's so far down the list, but that game was so good. The next one I have is Gran Turismo. And I used to whoop your ass up and down Gran Turismo. You could not race with me.
I could.
Gran Turismo was awesome. That I think it was like Gran Turismo 2 and 3 were so good. Those were legitimate, like fantastic racing games. And you would every now and then you get the steering wheel and like have to race with the steering wheel. That was really hard, but always a lot of fun. Next one here, NHL. The NHL games also great soundtracks.
Yeah.
Yes, EA Sports NHL. Always great soundtracks. NHL 07 was my favorite. Building your dynasty, your rosters, and then just like the NHL is one of the best games to just get hammered drunk and play with your friends. And then just like you, of course, would just start fighting people after we start losing.
Absolutely. Why else are we out here?
I'm just going to drop the gloves.
Mash that button. You know, shot
Number
do some shot NHL too. That'll
Yes, NHL shots is great.
every time you give up a goal, take a shot. Don't give
Yep.
up a goal if you don't want to take another shot.
Yep, good point. That was always a lot of fun. I wish Kamala was here for this because we play with him. My number 2, NCAA football. The new ones that came out, I really like. I mean, obviously, I only got the 25, but I'll probably get the next one this summer. But NCAA football, building your dynasties, creating teams, like all these different things that you were able to do. They kind of changed the creative team thing. It's not as good in 25 because you can't build your stadium, which is bullshit. But recruiting, all these different things. NCAA football is such a great game. And it's right now, it's the only game I play because I have no time. So it's like, well, if I have an hour or so to kill, let me pop open the dynasty, play offense only, and win a couple games here, and then do some recruiting and go to the next one. So NCAA football is one of the best games ever. And then number 1 is MLB The Show. I think that was the game we played the most growing up. The last one that I think was like really, really great was 11. I would say that was like
obviously
yeah, we were growing up.
Still
19 was good. I had 21. I think that was pretty good. I haven't gotten it in a while. I need to get another one, but MLB The Show was it was the most realistic of all of the games. It was legitimately difficult, but also so much fun.
yes.
But that's my list.
Yeah. What I want to say, the last MLB The Show I have Was Shohei Ohtani on
Yes,
the cover on the Angels?
I have Tatis, so I think he's 21.
I think I want to say it was Ohtani, but I haven't played
Yes, Ohtani was 20.
I haven't played a video game in 3 years since my oldest son was born. I remember it. It was November of
September 08.
September 08. The hell was that kid born? November of 2022. That's when it was. He was born in October of 2022. November 2022. I was close to like completing like something, like finishing it off in MLB The Show of that year, like completing a whole collection or something like that. And after I did that, that's the last time I played a video game. So my list is,
nostalgia purposes.
Yes. So I you know what? I threw in two honorable mentions, and it's two that you mentioned: Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Gran Turismo. One of those in there because, man, those games were just fun.
Yes.
They're just enjoyable to play. There wasn't, to be honest, it didn't feel like there was that much to them, which is why it was fun. Like your goal was to, like, the goals were set out for you. I have to win the race. I need to get X number of points or whatever. I think
to
so.
Upgrade
like
the car or something.
Yeah. It would tell you, oh, you got to do this, got to do that, right? So it set out goals. You did them, and it was just fun to play. Right? It was fun to play with other people as well, whether you were doing multiplayer or not. That's kind of an amazing gift to have a game that's that good. So the Gran Turismos and Tony Hawk Pro Skaters. Number 5, NFL Blitz.
Oh, good call. I know what your
I
know what your list is now. If you're going Blitz, we had
NFL
LT
Blitz
on LT on the cover.
NFL Blitz was awesome. That Blitz the League game was so good, and I'm sure there are so many people that hated it, but man, did I love it. It was so awesome. And they had like all the fake teams, and there was clearly like the star guy on each team was based off of a real person. Like the one, I think it was the Arizona team, had Michael Vick was who they based their star guy off of. It was like lefty quarterback who could fly and had a cannon, right? And you had to like go through the whole league and win like it. And there were a lot of things that were left to be desired in that game, but man, was it just so much fun to play. It's just so much fun to play Blitz in general, even older ones. The one, I think there's a Blitz League 2, to be honest, which I don't know if we ever had, but awesome games. Number 4, just edging out Blitz League, is Slugfest.
Yeah.
Made by this Midway, the same production company that did Blitz, did that one, the baseball version. Ours, though, MLB Slugfest 2004.
It was Jim
2004,
Edmonds.
which is Jim Edmonds on the cover. Now batting, number 15, Jim Edmonds. Like, it was just awesome.
The announcers in that game were so funny.
So good. All the ridiculous stories.
That's a miss not having that one on there because we had so much fun playing that and just unlocking or like what do we use, like a cheat code or something to unlock?
Well, no, because they would give you the things to, like, punch in. You could also earn stuff, I think. Like you would earn stuff through gameplay, but like the Minotaur team, remember that?
The Minotaur team was the best.
Minotaurs, yes,
and the rodeo clowns.
Oh yeah, when there was like a samurai or the Mortal Kombat guys, right?
The Mortal Kombat, yeah,
and then like he with the sword,
the Frozone and the
not
whatever.
Frozone, but yeah, Sub-Zero.
That's who it is.
The other guy, the gold guy, I forgot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know Mortal Kombat characters, but those are the ones. Yeah,
you had the horses. You could play as the horses.
Uh-huh.
They literally.
There was also Atlantis, right?
Yes, the stadiums.
The stadiums were amazing.
Game. What a great game!
Yeah, bring that back. How do you find that? How do you get that onto like a PlayStation 5?
I'm pretty sure there's a PS2 sitting in my attic with the PS2 MLB Slugfest game. So all I have to do is find a TV that has the red, white, and yellow inputs in the back to stick the...
TVs still have that.
Do they really?
Yes, they still have that.
No.
I could probably look at my TV and it would still have that.
Well, then I guess I know what we're doing next time we go over to your house.
If you can buy that game, there's no way that game still works.
I played it in college. I remember I was destroying Zach Ballinger, and it, like, literally the muscle memory came back to me, and I was
muscle memory is gonna come back to you.
Oh, it came back in a big way, and I was up so much, like he couldn't get it out. And he's like, "How are you doing this?" I was like, "I don't know, but it's happening." And then he kind of like figured it out and made a slight comeback, but I still won by like 20 runs. So
The guy's just like catching on fire and going nuts.
yes.
And when you do it as a Minotaur, it's just it's the best. Having guys just run after the mound. Just
Yes, great game, MLB Slugfest. Number 3, NHL, the EA Sports NHL franchise. Like you said, one, playing a hockey video game is just fun in general.
it is fun.
It
It's
just,
very fun.
for all the reasons that it's fun to watch hockey live, is the same reasons it's fun to play it, right? You get to do, and it's almost in like extreme form. Even if they make whatever physics engines the way they want and gameplay to try to make it as realistic as possible, all that stuff, it's still, when I can take this guy and take a full skate at someone and check him over the boards into the bench, like, it's just fun to do that, right?
Every now and then you can shatter the glass too.
Oh yeah,
which
which
is
is
great.
awesome, right? And like you said, boy, playing shot NHL or anything like that when you got older was fun, right? There's a reason other games and what you didn't really play them as much, because it was like, it's not as fun to do this while I'm doing that, right? But NHL, awesome. Number 2 is Madden, the Madden franchise. Like you said, we played that the most. That might have been the first sports game we had, was Madden 98 for the PlayStation 1,
Yeah.
which was fun and difficult.
God, remember when the disc was in a CD like cover,
Yeah.
right? Because it wasn't like the PS2 is when they changed it to like being a longer
Yeah, no,
like,
it was like a CD.
book.
Yeah.
It was a CD
You
for
know,
that.
they had their hands like this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out how to snap the ball or hike it or kick the field goal, and then it just evolved from there. And we play Madden so much, you could play that. I mean, I could play that right now, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't.
I mean, that's
miss
what I do
that
with
much
like.
of a beat, to be honest with you. After years,
No, because
again,
that's what I do with NCAA. I hadn't played NCAA since college, and it was the old PS2 NCAA version. But like NCAA and Madden all have the same controls when we were growing up, pretty much. And it took me a little bit to get back to it because they changed the cutting of it, which I actually liked the version in the PlayStation 2 way better than what it is now. But they changed that, so it took me a little bit there. But then I started to get it, and I was like, okay, this is basically like, yeah, you can come off the couch and do this. Like, love to see that couch that he's been sleeping on. Come off the couch.
Yeah, pretty much, yes. And then my number 1 is MLB The Show. Like you said, boy, we didn't start off playing that, right? Because it didn't really exist. But then once we got it, like you said, I don't even say it felt realistic. It felt like smooth in its gameplay, right? Like playing the game was not bulky. It made sense. Like you were in control of things. You could do them. It felt, for the most part, easy to grasp controls. It's still not that much to it, as long as you know baseball.
Correct. And that's one of the biggest things is knowing baseball, knowing how to like hit the ball where it's pitched type thing, understand how a curveball travels, understand
or just,
count
leverage. How about
sending
a base runner to the next base?
Correct. There's
a whole. This guy needs to get from first to third, and I know how to do that. Just got to hit this button, right? Like,
there's a lot of stuff with that. There's also they changed the way you pitch and some of the camera angles or whatever, and I always change it back to what we had growing up.
Yeah, where it's behind the pitcher. Right?
And I always like make sure I am able to guess pitches. Because I guess high fastball every single time, so I don't get beat.
I haven't guessed. Again, it's been 3 years, but when I played it the whole 2 years prior, I didn't guess any pitches.
I always do that because that's what it would be like to me.
I didn't think they still had that.
Yeah, you can put it on there. But yeah.
So just okay. So,
but that's part of it. That's part of baseball.
Nature Lodge. Nature. Always. That's what this is.
That's part of baseball.
So unless you play for the Houston Astros, when you get up at bat, or someone tells you, "Oh, this is not a fastball."
No, that's how you're guessing the pitch. Is I'm looking for this pitch.
Yeah,
I'm looking for a high fastball, and if it boom dings, you go, all right, I got my high fastball. I think it allows you. I like the guess pitch.
No, you gotta be better than that.
I disagree.
Crazy how much better than you I am at this.
That's not true. I used to beat the shit out of you in video games all the time.
I'd kick your ass right now. Anything else before we move on?
No.
Gonna come right off the couch and kick your ass. That's gonna take us to what to look for. Brought to you as always by VB Cookie Co. Looking for the perfect way to stand out at the next event you are hosting? Well, custom cookies are a timeless way to have everyone still buzzing even after they leave. Look no further for your cookie needs than VB Cookie Co. Follow them on Instagram at VBCookieCo and message them to order yours today. Whether it is a bridal shower, birthday, engagement, or baby shower, their team will work with you to make all your cookie dreams come true. VB Cookie Co. for the sweetest moments. Boy, give the people something to look for.
MLB opening day.
Very good.
That is tomorrow with your Yankees.
Yes,
They're playing the San Francisco Giants. Except that game's on Netflix, so
That's not on.
No, it's on Netflix.
Start off the season ruining
already correct
the game. Here's the first pitch, and the season is over. All the goodwill that you did in the World Baseball Classic will just undo it by putting the first damn game of the year on a streaming service that you essentially would have to pay for. It runs one goddamn game.
And then there is the next day, which has all the other teams playing Thursday.
It's a Thursday.
You can only if you don't have your local channel because we can't watch Masson or I guess you can now. I can't watch Masson.
It's still DC area. No, I can't. I haven't been able to watch the Orioles or the Nationals play in years.
Yeah, neither have I. I haven't been able to watch them in 6 years.
Again, not an issue because they both suck. But it would be nice to be able to.
It'd be nice to watch. I like watching. I don't have a local team that I can watch because of YouTube TV. So instead, I get to watch the 8:30 game on Thursday is Arizona at the Dodgers because that's on NBC. So that's the only game you can watch. So again, baseball has a problem, but it's opening day, so that's fun. But baseball, make your games more accessible to people. It's just so.
It's the same bullshit.
It's such an easy thing to do.
Let's do a playoff game on a Tuesday at noon in Cleveland. Yeah, that makes a lot of fucking sense.
It's such an easy thing to do.
In a stadium where it's not built to have the shadows and the sun in the right place for a Tuesday game in October at noon. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So no one can watch it either.
Figure it out. All right, that's what I had to watch for.
You know what really grinds my gears? All right, so obviously the NCAA Sweet 16 Elite Eights, you got to watch that stuff, right? It's been going on. A couple cool things here. Number 8 Oklahoma travels to number 2 Texas in college baseball. Little Red River rivalry top 10 matchup edition. Number 8 traveling to number 2. That's Oklahoma at Texas. And the men's college hockey tournament that starts this weekend. So you're not going to have the Frozen Four. The Frozen Four for the men happen either the weekend or 2 weekends following this. But this weekend will be, basically the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That'll decide who is in the Frozen Four. So we have that coming up this weekend. And then NASCAR. NASCAR is in the Commonwealth, boy. They're at Martinsville, Virginia this Sunday. Tyler Reddick will look to win again. Because it seems that...
God, imagine that. What I love about, I'm assuming Michael Jordan's going to go, but I'd have to think so. They're on a heater, and he probably goes to every race. But imagine that being in Martinsville, and you're like, yeah, Michael Jordan came through.
You're right. As someone who's been to that race in Martinsville multiple times, I couldn't even imagine... Because the biggest story when we went was when Danica Patrick spun out in the corner we were sitting in, and every drunken person stood up and flipped her off like a South Park episode. Literally, it was literally and screamed, "Fuck you, Danica!" and double fingers because she spun out in the corner in front of us. That was the biggest thing that happened in Martinsville. All right, so you're right. Could you imagine MJ rolling in through there?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy. Anything else before we wrap this debacle up?
No. I am good.
Good. That's going to do it for us here at What Caught My Eye, or WCME Sports. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media. That's on X, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, Snapchat, and Threads at WCME_sports. Episodes drop every Wednesday at noon on Spotify, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. And all that information can be found on our website, WCMEsports.com. For the boy, Veshy, and the indisposed man, Stephen Comlo, I am the coach, Nick Veshy, reminding you to be decent to each other. Have a good one, and we will see you next time. Take care, Guatemala.